In this film, I'm going to show you how to make these S links. They make a great chain. You can make them as big as you want or as little as you want. So all you need is 0.8 millimeter wire, or thicker or thinner, that's up to you, and create a link, a circular link at one end and the same size link at the other. So you get that figure of 8 or S link. And there's your first one. And again, circular on one side and circular on the other. One goes in one direction, one in the other. If you're worried about not making them the same size, you can always put a little mark on around those pliers so that you position the wire at the same point, same radius every single time. Or you can use a mandrel of any sort to wrap around. Now, to work hard on them, to make them a bit tougher, get your hammer and gently sort of stroke hammer the very ends. Don't worry about the middle, just the ends of those loops. So each end, so if you're making a whole chain, you'd obviously do this, you'd make loads of them, depending on how long the chain was going to be. I'm only showing you 3 here. So that's worked hard on them a bit, but it's opened up a little gap there. So wiggle the wire back so that there's no gap or no hole or anything exposed at all on each of your links, because you don't want them to open up when you're wearing it. So just go back, check each link. I know it's a bit laborious, but it's well worth it. And then make sure there is absolutely no gap, because you're not soldering, you're just doing this, with it's just cold connection. So again, just give it a whack with a hammer right in the center this time, where you've just made all the joins. And that will help the wire stay put and not move around. So make lots of those little figure of 8 or S links, and then with a jump ring, you're going to link those up together. So always open your jump ring sideways, feed into the top link, then into the next chain link, and wiggle a little bit closed to work hard on that jump ring. And then if you've made a coil of jump rings, if you followed the tutorial for jump rings, you'll just cut through your coil to create more jump rings to finish off a whole chain that you're making. So again, turn it sideways, link it in, and then make sure it's closed and that there are no gaps, because you don't want the whole thing to fall apart. And that's how you create a very, very simple chain. So you can also make this a little bit more decorative. If you're doing it, I would actually cut all the units. You see, once you know how much or how large the S-links are going to be, you would cut them, all the little bits of wire ready. And then you go into the production line of creating a circle and another circle on each end. So I'm going to show you 3 different types here. So just start off, first of all, with the circle of the same size on each of your strands or each of your cut wires. And I'm going to now demonstrate how you can make them into very different styles. So you could add a bead before you make the next link in the opposite direction on the opposite side. And then once you've made that link, you can spiral that circle back in towards the bead. So on each side, try and get it to sit in the middle with the spirals on each side. So that's a nice chain link design that has an added bead and adds a bit of colour. The other type is just to spiral in, and again you're working on each side, do a little bit on each side, and that way you can work out that you've got similar size spirals on each side. This one is going to be very close, so this is a tight spiral sitting really close up to each other, And this one I'm going to show you just with a little gap. It's just to give you an idea of 3 different styles using exactly the same technique, but a bit more decorative than the first chain I showed you, which was really plain. With the plain ones, do give a little bit of a hammer at the very, very ends. This is going to make such a difference to the strength of the chain that you've made if you do this to each one of these links, that you just spend a little bit of time making sure that each link has been work hardened and is tough. I don't just hammer just for the sake of hammering. I hammer because I do love hammering, but it's also just to flatten and toughen up those wires. So there we have those 3 different styles using the same technique, which, you know, you just need to know this one technique and you can make lots of lovely bracelet chains. You can make a chain at the back of your necklace, all sorts of different variety of jewellery.